Hi, I'm Anita of My Duke and I podcast, and wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having a marvelous day. And if you're seeing the show for the very first time and you like the show, please share so that everybody can see what we're talking about in the Sussex Squad. I'm happy to see that The Guardian is taking on the information and bringing it out to the public about Dan Wootton, the allegations against Dan Wootton. I'm happy to see that Byline News is also stepping forward and bringing the information to the public about Dan Wootton. Although the internet, when you Google Dan Wootton's name, when you look there, you cannot find too much on him. It's either people in his corner are scrubbing the internet, or these newspapers are all in cahoots together. These online publications are all in cahoots together because nobody is touching the controversy and the allegations around Dan Wootton. There's a problem. But guess what? I'm not afraid to talk about it. I will talk about it. Sauce for the goose, sauce for the gander. You can talk about Meghan. You can smear Meghan. And we're not sparing you. We're not smearing you, excuse me. We are just relaying what is out there. Relaying the information of what is out there. So it's not a smear. What Dan Wootton is doing to Meghan and Harry is a smear campaign. Okay, he and all his trolls and the derangers, that's a smear campaign. But reporting and bringing the allegations to the public, as The Guardian is doing and Byline News is doing, is not a smear campaign. It's just honest reporting, period. Which is very rare in the United Kingdom. Okay? So, as I said in my last video, I asked the question, is Dan Wootton going to address the allegations made by his accusers? And I said he can go two ways. He can either pretend that that is not happening, or he can refute it. He can deny it. And lo and behold, he came out today swinging, denying the allegations. And I just want to play this for you before I get started on my take on things and what a lot of people are thinking. So, let's go. Here is what Dan Wootton said on his show today. And his show airs on GBN. And it was at 4 today. Okay, so let's listen. Let's take a listen.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel. I'm Dan Wootton. And as a journalist, I feel uncomfortable being the story. But I've always promised you that this show has no spin and no bias and no censorship. So I owe it to you to address this. As you probably don't know, hopefully you don't know because you're not insane enough to pay attention to the cesspit of social media, these past few days I have been the target of a smear campaign by nefarious players with an axe to grind. Notably by an ex-partner who I was, this is something I've never spoken about and it's very difficult to talk about publicly, but who I was previously abused by and who has been on a campaign to destroy my life. In the past, he has written to me confessing to being a, quote, psychopath, and I saw this firsthand when he threatened in writing to, quote, slit my throat many years after we had broken up. I have been forced to report his behaviour and threats to police. They are now investigating. He has created an untrue story about me and appears to have been working with an organisation who are intent on closing down this channel. whose reporters include a convicted phone hacker. The Guardian has also reported it tonight. What a surprise. Other unspeakable slurs have been made by a convicted extortionist I have never even met, who has a long history of blackmailing gay men and was sent to jail for a number of years by a judge who said his behaviour was, quote, compulsive and provided a high risk to the public. I, like all fallible human beings, have made errors of judgment in the past, but the criminal allegations being made against me are simply untrue. I would like nothing more than to address those spurious claims. I could actually spend the next 2 hours doing so, but on the advice of my lawyers, I cannot comment further. But I have been thinking much over the past few days about the current state of social media, where any allegation can be made in an attempt to get someone cancelled, but it is impossible to defend yourself against thousands of trolls. That said, I am coming on air tonight with a lot of humility too. I think being in the middle of this witch hunt has made me think a lot about the sort of journalist and broadcaster I aspire to be. One focused on the massive political threats facing this country, not on personal attacks. I mean, who doesn't have regrets? Should I be cancelled for them many years later? Or do you accept that I have learned and changed? The last few years, I've grown professionally and personally, and I've also found the meaning of true love after that truly toxic relationship with my ex that hurt me and damaged me. I've found happiness in my personal life with my wonderful boyfriend who is here tonight, my friends and family and my world. The toll that this has taken on their mental health, well, I mean, that is literally killing me to watch. There is a reason why I have since day one on this show had a segment called Uncancelled. Because our rush to judge before due process, thanks in my case to the mad ramblings of highly politicised Twitter trolls and revolting blogs that eschew basic journalistic standards, is destroying democracy. And that's why, by the way, I didn't say a word about Hugh Edwards. Not one word. No tweet was deleted by me, despite the misinformation and lies perpetuated by Carol Vorderman. I didn't know the facts, and I wasn't going to weigh in until I did. I do also note that there are dark forces out to try and take this brilliant channel down. Whether it's Nigel's bank account, which we're going to hear about from him soon, Patrick's Twitter, Jacob and Lee's ability to speak out, Calvin, who is also here tonight, his right to have religious views, or Lawrence speaking out against the entertainment establishment. We have all found ourselves under attack. And that's because GB News is the biggest threat to the establishment in decades. And they'll stop at nothing to destroy us. But we will keep fighting for you, because we are a family here. You have been with me since day one on what has been a life-changing experience for me, and we have each other's back. The way you have understood what's been happening these past few days, and I've seen it, I've seen your messages, I've seen what you've had to say, and that has meant the world to me. I recognise I'm a polarising figure, and by speaking out in this way, I'm opening the gates of hell on my life. But social media has become a race to the bottom. Pile-ons are now the way to cancel a person. Our country is better than that. We must be. We must be. And that's why GB News exists. What we're trying to do here is something different. To give a voice to the long-forgotten people of the United Kingdom. And a great man reminded me today, people don't follow you because you're right. They follow you because you're real. So thank you for your support and the support of GB News.
Okay. So let me just go over some of the things that I heard him said. He said that there's a smear campaign to take him down. That's what it's interesting, because here is pot calling the kettle black. He also has a smear campaign to take Meghan and Harry down. Now, I don't think it's a smear campaign against Dan Wootton. Simply, people are just saying what their experiences were with Dan Wootton. And the reporters, like at The Guardian and Byline News, are reporting based on their investigation. They're not here every day dumping on somebody that is 5,000 miles away in the United States, who is minding their business, living their life, and they're not in Dan Wootton's business, but yet, and they're not taking anything away from him. They're not taking away his meals. They're not taking away his space. They're not taking anything from Dan Wootton, but here he is daily dumping on them. And he's calling that, what he's experiencing, a smear campaign.